So on this project, we're going to go a little bit longer to the first molar. On the lingual side, above the height of contour, from first molar to first molar, we're going to make the post-dam or food line symmetrical. If you draw a median suture line, as I've done here very lightly, it will help you in making it symmetrical. Your bead line will be more symmetrical if you mark down the median suture line. And this anterior horseshoe acrylic partial shape should finish somewhere midpoint of the first molar, or at least anterior to the first molar. If I draw a line from the mesial of 6 to the other mesial of 6, it'll give you a rule of thumb of how far anterior this should go. But one thing for sure, which was unlike our first project, that the acrylic major connector or the denture base should fit on the flattest part of the palette, meaning the flat part, not on an inclined plane where the patient can bite down and it kind of slides down the palette. It's got to fit on the flat part. Once I'm satisfied with my outline, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score the line. This line aids in us trimming, also aids in slight shrinkage of the self-curing resin, because this is going to be a self-cure resin partial or cold cure. So this aids in trimming, compensates for some of the shrinkage. And naturally, I'm sure you figured this out from the last project, the more acrylic that you have sagging down to the palette, then the more shrinkage there was. So the thinner you can apply the acrylic, then the less shrinkage there'll be. So the secret in a prosthetic like this is in the dental technology. If you can apply it a little bit thinner, but not too thin that you got to add. Comes down to the same old adage, how much? Just enough. So we've got the interior side is just the same, but what we're going to add here is a couple of Rottweiler clasps. Now we haven't really talked about surveying in depth, but we have talked about that there is a height of contour of a tooth, meaning the widest part of the tooth. This is perpendicular to the occlusion. Next year you'll receive one of these, and this is a surveyor which will analyze the height of contour at a certain angle, dictating the path of insertion of the acrylic partial. But being temporary in acrylic, if we could just hold the model at 90 degrees and scribe a line, figures, no pencil, roughly the height of contour at this given path, meaning at perpendicular to the plane of occlusion. And on this side, I'll do the same, just with a lead pencil. If I draw this molar on, can we simulate that this is a beautiful looking number 6 molar? Are you okay with me with there? You can visualize this as a molar, not like a little playhouse, whatever. So we've marked the height of contour like this, and that could be, you know, roughly done here without using a surveyor. We just held the model perpendicular to the plane of occlusion and we marked the line here. We're going to bend a Rottweiler that's going to engage below this height of contour at least about 75%. And we're going to come from I'll do it the other way, so we'll do this as distal and we'll do this as mesial. And we're going to stay below the height of contour, about 70 to 80% below the height of contour. Meaning this wire here is going to engage below the height of contour into the undercut, 70 to 80% below. So 70 to 80%, this is 70 and this is 30, or 75, 25 below the height of contour. This area here is the part of the clasp that is engaging below the bulbous part of the tooth and retaining the partial denture in place. So now your job is to sharp pencil, I'll mark the line in red, and bend the wire adhering to the tooth 100%, crossing the occlusion as tight as possible. Now this will also be indicative of the opposing dentition. If the opposing dentition is tight there, then maybe some design change has to happen or some alterations. And then we're going to come into the palate and we're going to go this way here with the retentive tag. So I'm going to attempt to bend one. And this looks similar to the shapes that we started with. Does it not? I have 2 sets of 3-prong pliers here. Would someone be so kind to lend me a 139? Because I can't bend with the 3-prong. I thought I had one of each, but I don't. Can I borrow your? That's okay. I can't see that well anyways. Nick, meaning the tip came off. So naturally, I would start with my handpiece and polish the tip of the wire. You can do this before or after, but I would take a rubber wheel and just round off the end of the wire so it's nice and rounded. Choose which one you're going to do first. I would start by bending the end. Now this is kind of 3-dimensional bending. We've got to come this way, but I also got to go mesial buccal, fit the contour of the tooth. So I think your 3 prongs might come in handy here. I'm just going to tip the tip in around the corner. And now this I think everyone can do, but we get to this moment here where it's like, well, now I've got to bend it up and over and across the occlusion, and it's not working. I'm stuck in number 1 of Paul's rubrics. I can't do it. I can't get this to go over there. I'm going to give you some advice that when you're making a decision, always make a decision with worst case scenario in mind. And if you can live with the worst case scenario in mind, then go ahead and make the decision. Something that I would use for myself, no matter if it's every daily life, I would use that. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Kind of deductive reasoning, so to speak. So what's the worst thing that can happen while bending this wire if I'm guessing I'll go over? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? I got to restart. Can I live with restarting to bend another wire? Yes. So therefore, just take a chance. It's no big deal. It's just wire, and look how much we have. A lot. So, thank you for playing along. That's a very correct answer. So if I can live with the worst case scenario, then really I've got nothing to lose. Just go ahead. But some people get locked up in their decision making. It's like, oh, I'm not sure. You can mark it there where it crosses the occlusion, but this is where you got to make a decision and dedicate, if not the word dedicate is, no, the right word would be commit. I got to make a commitment that this is where I'm going to bend the wire. I got to make a commitment that this is the right place. And sometimes people have a hard time making a commitment. And why is that? Again, psychodynamics of dental technology. I've seen it. Employees, students, staff, why didn't we make this decision to bend this wire right here? Sometimes why does the dentist not even make the decision to do design and they download it to the dental technician? Why are they afraid to make the decision or commitment? Fear of failure, number 1. But along with commitment comes words like responsibility, obligation. Those are 2 big heavy ones. Responsibility, did I say that? Responsibility, obligation, commitment. About making a decision. This is the design, I'm committing to this for the client. This is the wire, I'm committing to this is the location of the wire. And we can bring that kind of psychodynamics to relationships too. Some men are commitment phobic. Some women are commitment phobic, are they not? I can't commit to our relationship. I'd rather have you as just a friend with benefits. I'm trying to keep it light. Now, unfortunate for dental technology, and here's another thing that we got to arm ourselves with. If I've successfully bent 10,000 wires in a row, Unfortunately, you're only as good as the last one you've bent. So my whole career is riding on this wire right now. That's heavy. You could be a pilot, successfully fly the plane for 40 years, and then you crash, kill everyone on board. And then you are deemed as a lousy pilot. Would you not agree? Even though you successfully taken off, landed, I've flown around the world a bazillion hours. I've done so many wires, but this one failed. Then I'm like, well, you're a lousy technician. Not fair, but unfortunately, that's part of the job. Because every case, the expectation is, it's got to go. The patient is relying on this. The dentist is relying on this. The surgeon is relying on this. It's got to be perfect, or as perfect as can be. There is some leeway in perfection, but still, it's got to draw, meaning it's got to fit, number one. It's got to be aesthetically pleasing, number two, for these two teeth. It's got to function for what it's meant to be functioning for, if it's aesthetics and or mastication. And this is where I think most of us are going to have trouble, is crossing the occlusion. This kind of reminds me of the Adams clasps you built. Did you not? Did you have to cross the occlusion? And at this point, is like, did you not have problems here a little bit? Or no, you're just awesome. Okay. I'm the one that doesn't do ortho, so maybe I'm having a more challenging time. Now here is another moment of truth where I've got my wire hitting the other side and I can't gauge on what's going to happen. So now I got to say, you know what? I'm going to cut some length off because I don't need all that. That'll give me some freedom to bending the wire over the occlusion. If I look this way, do you see a space? Yes, I do. So really, we could bend the wire. If I draw sideways, you know, my molar here, that we could bend the wire to go in this configuration to follow the occlusion of the marginal ridge. And what you can do to do that, just to kind of keep it out of occlusion as possible, as much as possible, I can take my 3-prong pliers and bend it down from the occlusion this way. Whoops. Bend it down this way. And then reverse the bend on both sides like this. And if I show you this way, you think you'll understand what I'm talking about. You see how it's got like a bit of a experiment. Does it make it any better? No, but maybe it makes it better than the next tray of the person beside me. And fortunately, unfortunately, this is capitalism, this business, and there is competition. And then what sets me apart from the next dental laboratory? So if I went into the dental laboratory today and said, hi, my name's Paul. Would you like us to, could you send our laboratory your laboratory work, or are you interested in our laboratory services? And they'll say, well, why? Because I have a nice smile? They're impressed with my hairline? Or what's the first thing they'll try to set you apart as? Do you have a price list? Because price will set you apart. Oh, I want cheaper. How long can you finish this 2-tooth acrylic partial? Can you do it in a day? And I'm like, sure, we can do it in a day. And the dentist says, I'll give you 2. Pick it up on Friday. I need it Monday. That's not 2 days. That's no days. Because I don't work Saturday and Sunday, and neither do they. Well, I gave you 2. You said 1. So the expectation now, it's downloaded. Well, I don't work weekends, but I need this for my patient on Monday. What's the problem? And I said, well, and then you had a cottage weekend planned. It's all gone. Now you've got to go and do this. Or you have a choice. I'm not doing that. You'll get on Tuesday. Well, that's fine. I'll phone someone else. Someone else will do it for me. I'm just making up stories here as I go along while I'm bending the wire. Many things can happen. But like I said, dental technology in Ontario, it's a form of capitalism. It's a free market. You're going to find out where you fall in that market. Right away as a student, you'll be falling as a beginner, I assume, right? Working for some laboratory in some position to start off, and then slowly work your way up the ranks to possibly owning your own. I'm almost done. I turned into a number 3 there for a second. Like, I didn't care for a second. I said, yeah, let's just get on with this. I got nothing else to say. But you know what? I regrouped. Now, if I look from this angle, the wire should be maybe halfway between the lingual gingival margin and the bead line. If I divide this in 45. If I'm too close to the bead line, then the posterior border of the denture will be too thick. If I'm too close to the teeth here, I may tuck my wire under the height of contour, and then it won't fit coming on and off the model. So somewhere about halfway. And you can touch the tissue with the wire because acrylic will sneak under it when you cold cure. You're going to make 3 indexes. Sorry, I'm off the screen. You're going to make 3 indexes for this acrylic partial. 1 for each wire and 1 for the 2-tooth setup in the anterior. Now, if this needed to go for a try-in for aesthetic reasons, you could do an acrylic base plate and set up 2 teeth and send it for try-in. But this is a transitional, immediate, so to speak. And there we have it. This one is finished. Now, this kind of zigzag is just all retentive to stay into the acrylic. You could do more, you could do less. You could do a circle, but then I think that looks more orthodontic to me if you do the loop. Just a couple zigzags, but whatever you do on this side, do the same on this side so it looks symmetrical. So it looks like, as the dental technician, you had control of the wire. I don't want one coming up here and the other one going across the center, you know, kind of like this with my fingers. Make them the same. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to continue on with the other wire and continue on with the setup. Now, you sitting there and watching me bend a wire is not going to help you. What's going to help you is getting your pliers and creating this prosthetic today. Now, is it due today? Impossible. Although, if you are technically inclined, this is no more than an hour and a half. A couple of wires, 2 teeth, cold cure, trim and polish. But we've got 40 some odd of us in here, and we're beginners. So the end of next class, you decide how you're going to use your time. So we've got all day today. I will help as many people as I can. And then we will have next class to trim and polish. So I think you should get the wires and the teeth and maybe the acrylic done today. So you can trim and polish next week. Now next week we'll pour models up for our next project. And so on and so on and so on. If you look inside the marking guide, there's step-by-step instructions for this project. So when I see something, and if you're out of order, like out of sync, like you're doing something before something else, I'll tell you to read the instructions. Because there is a recipe of order. It's not that I made it up, but it makes sense. You know, wax it, trim it, soak the bottles, separate the indexes, etc. So this is a repetition of the last project. So now you have another redeeming chance to correct any incorrections you did in the first one. Can you learn everything in 2 thumb partial acrylic? I can go as far back as yesterday. I was making a thumb partial. I thought of you guys, by the way. Just when you think I don't think of you, I'm like, that's what I asked the class to make last week, and now I'm making it. This is awesome. And guess what? I had the same bubble happen in mine, except I didn't have to repair it. I trimmed it. And I'm like, wow. Now how come that didn't happen in my demonstration in the class? I would have looked like a superstar. I would have put like a big S under my lab coat, spandex S with a K, super tech, fly around. But I didn't. I looked like loser tech, big bubble on my demo. Now, that's not the last time or not the first time I've looked like loser tech. I shouldn't use the term. Inadequate tech, would you say. There's such a generation of bending things to make them nicer to the ears. Because we don't want to hear failure. We don't want to hear regret. We don't want to hear disappointment. We don't want to hear remorse. Those are all negative terms, right? We want to hear elation. We want to hear hedonism. We want to hear laughter. We want to hear all those things that make us feel good. Like, what was the dating game I said I watched a couple of weeks ago? And they asked them, so what do you see in your partner? What's the show, Blind Date or something like that? Oh, if he's got to be spontaneous, funny, and a gentleman, or something like that. like, no way that's going to happen. No way. So what happens is spontaneity is going to go. It's a blind date. It's on TV. What's the spontaneity in that? You're going for Mexican, and you're going for tequilas and a hot tub, and I don't know what happens after that. They kind of wait till the next show, right? So sometimes we think we want some things, but we really don't know what it is. I'll leave you with that thought. Maybe a little too much to digest today, because I'm kind of imparting some psychodynamic wisdom of my own kind of twisted thoughts of dental technology. I impart them on you, which maybe is unfair. And I'm kind of spoiling it for you so you can kind of experience it yourself. The failure, the regret. Damn, how did I forget to separate the model? Oh, I forgot to glue the tooth in. Oh, I forgot to check if there's hot water in the pressure pot. Oh, I used heat cure instead of cold cure. Oh, I used water glass instead of separator. Oh, I dropped my model and it broke. Oh, I got stuck in the polisher and ended up bent the wire. Like all these disasters. The disasters I call them, right? There's probably a zillion other disasters I can't even think about. These disasters are going to happen to you. Unfair. Look at us, we got dressed up in green for disasters. But through disaster and the failure, I truly believe that this is experiential learning. Where it's like, okay, what's the definition of experiential learning or success? Not to do the same mistake twice. If you glue all three fingers together, don't glue them together again, because it hurts and the skin peeled off, and now I had to put 2 Band-Aids around my fingers, right? Right? You did something. Oh, I trimmed it. There was a third-year student, got the metal, went through their thumb. Oh, I knew that wasn't going to happen. Well, don't do that again. But sometimes we got to learn through painful episodes, right? So, let's turn the lights on. Let's be safe with the wires. Don't poke anybody. Put safety glasses and pliers. And let's see how far we can get today with this project. I've given you the beginning. Don't just start bending wire without any lines, without any food lines, without any height of contours. Can you do these for me? Okay? Thank you for your attention, your kind group. Very quiet today, though. Or respectful, I should say. Let me finish my wires before you come in. Pliers, wires. There.
Can I take look at that?
No, because I goes in the dark. Let me check it in the light. Because then you know what the student does? This is shit. Does this guy think this is good? Let me finish 5 minutes. And I put it there. And I'll do both of them. How's that? That's fair, isn't it?
Can I use your wire cutter?
Yeah. They're magic wire cutters, but I have to do this here. Oh, yes. This is awesome. I think I'm getting better.
You're gonna need to.
What am I going to bend with? Go ahead.
I want also.
How am I going to do my other one? Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll grab another pair. Those are mine. I had a matching black handle pair.
I should put that in my pliers.
I'm missing this. I had them on mine. What good is it did it do me? They're gone. They're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah, and where did they go? Oh yeah, 0.9 wire. And just wax on the end here when you're done.
What size of wire are we using?
0.9. Excellent question. Oh my God, I was video.